Yep.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Full Court Talk. This is episode 60 already. So
Wow.
it's getting crazy. But how you guys doing?
All good, man.
Good,
Good as
man.
always.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good to see y'all.
Good to see you guys. We have a ton to get to. Um, Anti-vaxxers taking over in the NBA. Maybe not taking over, but they're very apparent. Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie Irving, Jonathan Isaac, Bradley Beal. So we have a lot to talk about that. What's going on in Minnesota after Gersson Rosas was fired randomly, and how Karl-Anthony Towns reacted to that over Twitter. We'll talk about that. Jj Reddick, I know CJ's excited about this one, but Jj Reddick retires. Is he a Hall of Famer? And David Griffin serenades Zion in his room. We will talk about that and what the Pelicans should do going forward. But going on to the anti-vaxxers. So Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving are two key pieces on key organizations that, if they are not vaccinated, they will forfeit 41 games for themselves, essentially. So they will not be able to play in home games at all. That's not even counting the playoff games that could potentially happen and will happen for at least the Nets. So what do you guys think about this, along with the others who are? Well, we'll focus on Kyrie and Andrew Wiggins first, but what do you guys think about this?
Well, first of all, my stance on it is I am in favor of not forcing people to do what is required of them. Like, for example, I want them to have control of their own body, so to each their own. But I think at this point it's just common sense for the vaccine, just because it's a courtesy to everyone around you, not just the NBA players, it's your family. I understand that the production of the vaccine and all that came really quick or whatnot, however you want to call it, but it's proven to be effective in reducing your likelihood of catching COVID. So it's actually very surprising that a lot of these NBA players, including Wiggins and Kyrie, are against it. But Kyrie was kind of expected with how his mentality is and how he's been navigating through the league ever since he got with Boston and then moving forward to Brooklyn. But Andrew Wiggins is kind of surprising to me. I did not hear anything about him until, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not a Warriors fan, but until recent reports, right? But it's kind of just expected to me. Like, I don't think he cares about missing 41 games. If anything, I think he welcomes it, being at home and you don't have to play. Like, I think that's a luxury for him because we've seen him go on these long vacations, right? But Wiggins, the Warriors are going to need him, like, home game or not. And so for him to be against it, and the fact that he applied, correct me if I'm mistaken, that he applied to not take the vaccine for religious reasons, it seems like a last minute decision, just because if it was for religious reasons, he should have been saying it from the beginning. It's just a ploy to get out of taking the vaccine. And man, you know what? Like, personally, I understand people being skeptical about it. I have a family member who's the absolute conspiracy theorist when it comes to the vaccine. So I've heard it all. But overall, it's just, like I said, it's common sense, man. Like, all you have to do is take it, deal with the effects as everyone has, and it's safe to hoop, right? That's essentially, I know they want to do that. It's just the fact that they are being almost forced to do it. I think that's the whole reason why they're going against it. And, like you said, Spence, it's not just Kyrie, it's not just Andrew Wiggins. There's players that are around in the league that has voiced their opinion about it. We'll talk about some of them within this topic, but yeah, I think it's just ridiculous, especially Kyrie. But Wiggins, religious reasons, come on, man.
Yeah, this is such a slippery slope.
Mhm.
It's kind of where sports and politics intersect. Because as you guys know, I work at a radio station, and one of the stations is like conservative talk radio. So this dude, he like he's very, he's conservative. He's anti Black Lives Matter. He's super Republican, all that kind of stuff. And he brought this up in his story. Like, he's been he has kind of protested against or like boycotted against the NBA. But of course, this story fits his topics, his values. So he brings up I don't know how to say or how to say this guy's name, Kyrie Irving or something. He doesn't know who he is. And just I feel like we could have a whole pod on politics and the vaccine mandates and stuff, but just to keep it on the topic regarding Kyrie and Wiggins, if that's the risk they're willing to take and their teams are okay with it, I guess, then go for it. I was reading this story where because both teams had their media days today, and a lot of the Warrior players stood up for Wiggins and stood by him. Most notably, like Iguodala, he was very defensive, saying, "I'm vaccinated, but Andrew is a man of values. He's a good person, and I respect his rights," or whatever. Steph did back him up in like 75%. Said, I respect it, I understand it, but I just hope he's getting the right information, asking the right questions and stuff. The one that caught my attention was Bob Myers. His didn't seem that sneaky at all. I think he said something like, "I'm confident that we'll have all our players for the season." So, and it's not just the 41 games they'll miss. They'll miss games they play, like the Nets will play the Warriors in San Francisco. Kyrie can't play that, and vice versa.
You can.
Really?
You can play at away teams' arenas, and even if the other team is okay with it, like San Francisco, like anyone on the Warriors who are home, anyone's not vaccinated can't play, but away players that are not vaccinated can't play.
Even if it's in California?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
I think it's
politics
because you
right
can't
there,
force
probably.
another team to have everyone vaccinated. I'm guessing.
You would think
a really
that
stupid decision.
Yeah, because I feel like the city would have power over that, like saying like, this is a big gathering. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, then never mind. I'm wrong. Thanks for catching me on that. Yeah, it's so dangerous for people with this kind of status to be like this. And again, I'm trying to be respectful and like understanding, because there's a pretty well documented injustice against African Americans when it comes to vaccines or doctor care, stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, all of the data points to just all complications are minimized. You can't completely eradicate them, obviously, but I don't know. It's a very slippery slope. They can just do what they want, and if their teams are willing to bear with it, then good on them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is like, it's interesting to see these guys with like gigantic platforms kind of not abusing their power, but not using it in the right way. That's one thing I'll say about Andrew Wiggins. I think the thing, like, it annoys me that he's not vaccinated as a fan, because like he's going to miss 41 games if he doesn't. But I respect his decision. And at the same time, like I'm glad that he's not out here spreading false rumors saying like, oh, it's fake. Oh, it's like, it's not going to work. But he just said that respect my privacy. He basically didn't want to overshare. And at least he's not using his platform in the negative way. And I think Kyrie's the same way. At least he said, just respect my privacy. I have my decision and I have my reasons. And the thing is, like, Kyrie hasn't actually said he's not vaccinated. He just keeps hinting that he's not. So we're not even sure if he is or not. But I think it's kind of selfish at the same time because, like, not only are you going to affect your teammates and all your family members, but you're kind of hurting the organization as a whole. Because 41 games as a important player is tough to miss, especially at home. And for a team like the Warriors who don't have the depth to cover a small forward like Andrew Wiggins, it's going to be tough. And going on to Kyrie, if Kyrie misses those minutes and those games, that's huge because that means Patty Mills has to step up, and they don't have a backup after Patty Mills. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Warriors and the Nets cover this. The New York Knicks are actually part of this, but the Knicks are actually all vaccinated, so they don't have to deal with this drama. But going on to the other players who are unwilling to become vaccinated, who are publicly not vaccinated, Bradley Beal is the biggest name that I've heard. What he said, I think, kind of frustrated me. Then Jonathan Isaac, another guy who definitely frustrated a lot of people with his comments. So we'll start with Jonathan Isaac and what he said first. So I think I read that he said that he studied Black history and he studied Trump's speeches, and therefore he's not going to become vaccinated. But a little background, Jonathan Isaac is incredibly religious. So it could be that he would actually, if he applied, he would get religious exemption. So that'd be on him. But I don't think his team's in Florida. Don't think Florida is going to really care if he's vaccinated or not. Bradley Beal, on the other hand, what he said was very concerning. As someone that had gotten COVID, he said, I just lost my taste and that was it. I was fine. Didn't even feel sick. And I think for him, and especially what we've heard about COVID, for people that are very healthy, it doesn't affect them nearly as much as someone that's very unhealthy. And as an NBA player, you're extremely healthy. So, of course, you're not going to feel the total just wrath of COVID. So for him to say that with as big as a platform as he has with kids at home, it's just not a good look. For someone that I think a lot of people look up to, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But what do you guys think about Jonathan Isaac and Bradley Beal?
Man, hey, Bradley Beal, it's kind of sad. I actually didn't find out about this until before we started, recording. I didn't know he felt that way about this whole situation, especially like Spence said, him experiencing the effects during what would have been his USA stint to get gold. I think another thing that he's forgetting is that you can catch it more than once. So by not being vaccinated, you put yourself at risk to get it again. I'm not sure where his family stands with their vaccination. Maybe his wife his kids are more safer that way. We don't know. But at the same time, like you said, Spence, those comments can be taken out of context with or without the entirety. I'm reading the article with him, and a reporter had brought up that people get hospitalized, obviously, and they are less likely to die if they have it. And then he just said, okay. And then he responded with, but you can still get COVID. Exactly. Like, you still get COVID, but the point is you are less likely to get it. Like, I don't know how hard that concept is to grasp. But, I mean, shoot, Wizard fans, if Beal can't play at home, at least you have Kuzma.
He actually can. It's only New York, San Francisco, and Brooklyn.
Oh, well, they would have been fine with Kuzma, I'm sure. But with Jonathan Isaac, like you said, Orlando for sure. Oh man, they could care less. They could care less. I feel like they're I don't know how it is out there personally, but I feel like they're one of those states where with or without a mask, you're good.
Yeah.
I had friends that came back from Disney World and they said that it's not even required. And so I think at that point, his vaccination status it doesn't really matter. But if he did apply for religious exemption, he would definitely get it. Like Spence said, he is a religious person. I actually didn't know that he was a religious person like that. When he was playing for Florida State, there was no indication, but maybe he found whatever it is that he worships as he got into the league, and there's that. And like I said, at the end of the day, they all have their own decisions. I respect it, however they want to do it. I don't want to tell them what to do. I'm pretty sure the NBA and a lot of people are telling them to do is obviously get the vaccine and showing them the facts behind it. But it's up to them whether or not they want to do it. But if they can't put it together, and if they're okay with missing 41 games, letting the fans down, letting the organization down, if the region is forcing them to, then by all means. But yeah, Bradley Beal, I feel like is the biggest star next to Kyrie after this whole thing. Just them two alone. And it's kind of ironic because he was supposed to represent USA, but he can't even take care of himself pretty much. So, yeah.
I like that you brought up the teams and where they are, because if more states operated like California and New York do, this would be a much bigger thing. I mean, it's already pretty big, but imagine how many more players or how many more stories like this there would be. Again, if like the Wizards aren't really contenders and neither are the Magic, so I think that's why it's less of a big deal. It's like Spencer said, it's so dangerous to have the platforms they have and to act like this. Like, there's a reason why you have to talk to the media. You have to answer certain questions. Like, the media is trying too, because they were asking both Wiggins and Kyrie today, like for like a good amount of questions and follow-ups. They kept trying to pin them on an explanation or a stance, and they're hiding. I mean, Kyrie more so than Wiggins. Wiggins actually went into it a little bit, but Kyrie's just like, that's private, that's personal. Please respect that. Like, no, we're not going to respect that because, again, this is so dangerous. Yeah, it's such a. I could go for days on this because it's just so frustrating that it's such a polarizing thing and people are making it so much harder than it needs to be. Like it's cool to, not cool, but I mean, if you want to be contrarian about, oh, you don't drink coffee, oh, you like getting up early, or you don't like pineapples on pizza or whatever, cool, whatever. But this is real life. This actually has an effect on you and other people's lives. So it's just a big head shake for me.
Yeah, and I think something that needs to be noted, I think I read this, that any unvaccinated player on any team is going to be separated in the locker room. They're going to be in a different room. So Bradley Beal, your star player, is going to be separated from your team. Jonathan Isaac, arguably the best player on the Magic, is going to be separated. Andrew Wiggins won't even be at home games. Kyrie Irving might not be at home games. So it's huge for them. And it's definitely tough because like it's a very hard question to ask. Are you vaccinated right now? Because like a lot of people are going to shy away from it, especially I think from where we're from in California. It's not as unpopular to ask because most of the people we know are going to be vaccinated. And I think it makes it more frustrating because my uncle actually caught COVID like a couple months ago and he's still feeling the effects. He has trouble breathing and he's a super fit person. So it's definitely frustrating to see people kind of undermine and like kind of undervalue everything that people are saying. But that's just the world we live in. That's what people do. And not everyone's going to have the same thought process or opinions as everyone. But I think with something like COVID, you have to, obviously you can do your research, but when it proves you wrong, at some point you have to be vaccinated. It's free. It's easy to get. And as an NBA player, it's damn easy to get. So we'll see what happens. If anything more interesting pops up about it, we'll talk about it. But going on to Minnesota, not a place we really hear a lot from because they're not a good team. But former GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Gersson Rosas, has been fired. And Karl-Anthony Towns actually responded to this on Twitter by tweeting WTF. So it was very interesting to see his firsthand reaction. But apparently Rosas was having an inappropriate relationship with a person inside the organization, and therefore he was fired. So even though you have a good reason for firing your GM, not letting Cat know is not a good look. It's a really bad look on the organization. For a guy that I know he keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I'm here for the long haul. I want to be in Minnesota for my entire career." We've heard whispers behind like closed doors, like say, "Oh, I'm out. Like I don't want to be here." So it's very interesting to see how they handled this situation. And then on top of that, with Ben Simmons rumors coming, and then possibly moving on from D'Angelo, who is very close to Cat, does that affect their relationship? But what do you guys think about the GM just being fired out of nowhere?
Well, first of all, I want to say the best franchise in the NBA is vaccinated. Just want to put it out there.
Let's
Or so we
go.
think. Or so we think, you know.
Everyone is vaccinated.
Okay.
You guys got Kent Bazemore, the anti-vaxxer, to get vaccinated. That's
Hey, man.
impressive.
Buy in. All right.
Yes, sir.
But I just want to say on behalf of Cat, as your star player, your effect on the team should not be like LeBron's. You should not be led GM, but for the most part, you should have a say and a general understanding of what goes on in the front office, especially if I'm not mistaken, he is the longest tenured Timberwolves player on the team. So you could probably tell that it's somebody that he was close with, the GM, because of how he reacted. And that cryptic tweet, I mean, it's obviously towards him. It's no other situation. And, the fact that they didn't let him know, it is a bad look. And obviously this type of incident only fuels the fire of the trade rumors, right? And so I think that is one of the red flags that Cat is going to start to see from here on out. I think D'Lo, his relationship with D'Lo might get even tested in the coming weeks. We never know. And in terms of if he gets traded, for Ben Simmons, I think it might be more than just them two. It might be like a 4-team, 3-team trade if it happens. Just because, obviously there's no way Cat and Embiid end up pairing together. That'd be insane, right? But I could definitely see Cat in 2 teams. I thought about this earlier. One of them is New York, the bright lights. As long as they're able to do it, I feel like they have the players to trade for him. And the other is Portland. I think Portland would be a good fit just because, Dame wants to be there, right? I don't know. Dame and CJ, the way their value is right now, I'm not sure who the Blazers would rather keep. I know we talked about this before, but pairing one of those guards with Cat would be a nasty duo. And I think it also gives the Blazers a chance to actually compete for something. So I have the Blazers in the mix as far as his top destinations, just of a fit standpoint. But in all of the situation, like I think the fact that they didn't let him know is just questionable. Especially since Cat was very close with the Saunders family, and I believe that Saunders family has left an imprint on the Timberwolves organization, so they have had some say when passing on to the general manager who was fired, and that relationship with Cat. So I think it's almost disrespectful, just altogether. The fact that Cat didn't see it coming, so it was a blindside move. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how big you guys are in terms of like how important culture is to a team. I feel like it's everything.
Agreed.
because it's from top to bottom. You need all the parts working together. And this is just another reason why the Timberwolves are a garbage organization. Because I mean, yeah, Cat isn't a top 10 player, but he's still your franchise player. So you have to keep him in the loop, like you said. He doesn't warrant like GM status, like CJ said, but yeah, you still gotta run stuff by him maybe or see what he thinks and just check in from time to time. In terms of him being traded and where he should go, I do love this fit with Dame in Portland. Also, I had that, and if they could pull it off, him and Luca would be nasty. And we all know how that situation is. And Porzingis, I mean, if they can get off Porzingis and get talent somehow, steal. It won't happen, I don't
Robbery.
think.
Highway robbery.
It won't happen, but you never know. But even so, I don't even know if I would want Cat or even like give up the farm from him because yeah, the Timberwolves are a bad organization, but you're still the best player. Like you should be at least respectable. Like play in territory, 8 to 12 seed. You got your best friend in D'Lo. So there really shouldn't be any excuses. Like Kevin Durant. Kevin Garnett was on the Timberwolves, and he was like in MVP conversations for seasons. So if you're not putting in that work on your own level, then I don't think you should be able to pick and choose like that and act like such a diva about it. But yeah, I mean, if he went to the Blazers or the Mavs, that would shake up the West for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's always been the thing with Karl is like he puts up really good numbers, like out of this world numbers for a center. He's one of the best shooting centers in the NBA, but he also gives up a ton of points on defense. So our team's willing to give up the farm or like the house for a guy that, yeah, he can put up good numbers, but he's never been able to prove it. I think that's an argument with Bradley Beal. He's never been able to prove it, but I think with Bradley, like that dude puts up ungodly numbers and backs it up by trying to at least win. Karl, he's
also made the playoffs too.
Prone. Yeah. He damn near drags his team every season, somehow finds a way. Karl, not so much. He's made the playoffs once, and it was basically because of Jimmy Butler. And they ran Jimmy Butler out of town. So I don't know what you do with Karl. I think the Golden State Warriors are a good fit. To pair him and Steph and Clay would be really nice. You could trade Wiggins and Wiseman. the thought
pretty
about
convenient there, huh?
He goes back to Minnesota. You know?
I love it.
Everybody wins.
yeah, everybody wins. Everybody wins. And then we get Cat and Taurean Prince. Obviously, we give up a couple picks, but I think it's a good trade because you get a young big in Wiseman. Wiggins, you have to deal with like 3 seasons, but you're shit anyway, so might as well just take the contract. Another team I actually have is Oklahoma. Him and Shai would be really good together, and with like 5 million picks over the next 3 seasons, just throw a couple picks at him. Minnesota's going to take him, even though they can't draft for their life. They might take it, but for Cat, you want young players or picks, or both. The Warriors have the best package in terms of talent because you get Wiseman, and Oklahoma, you get a ton of picks because they're going to they have so much to trade. Who knows if they'll actually trade? With Portland, I think that would be interesting. It's just like, is CJ worth it with as many guards as they have? So I like the fit. Damon Cat is nasty. Luca and Cat is nasty, but Porzingis is also nasty for the wrong reasons. But I'm definitely interested to see if he keeps putting up the front. Like, oh yeah, I want to be here, but if D'Lo does get traded, it'll be interesting. Will Ben Simmons even help that much? I'm not sure. That feels like it's Ricky Rubio, just taller. But we'll see. Okay, CJ. JJ
Yes,
Reddick
sir.
retires, man. How much did you cry?
I mean, honestly, bro, I just wanted him on the Lakers. You know,
I'm
I wanted
shocked
him
he
on
didn't
the
get a
Lakers.
contract.
Yeah. I was actually watching his retirement video. He obviously he has a podcast as well. Um, you know, teams were going to him during the start of free agency, and what he had actually said, according to JJ Reddick himself, is that give me some time to really think about it. Get back to me at this time. And then when they did, by the time that they got back to him, he realized that he'd rather be a dad. And like I respect that. Being in the NBA, you're on the road a lot. Especially like last year, that took a toll on a lot of families. Being in the bubble. So I respect him for his decision. 15 years is one hell of a career. I've seen him go as one of Duke's best players of all time to one of the greatest shooters of all time in the league. When JJ was shooting, you knew that shit was going in, bro. You know what I mean? Like 99.9% of the time that was going in. And he was also an effective free throw shooter, which is obvious because of how good he shoots. Obviously I was sad, because I feel like he still got some in the tank. He definitely still has it in the tank. I know he was able to play as much as he wanted to with Dallas last year. And I almost forgot that he was even in Dallas. I thought he was just a free agent. I think he should have just given it another chance. Maybe not with the Lakers, maybe with the Nets, somebody. And you also can't, forget the fact that with the exception of his season with the Pelicans, he made every season that he was in the NBA, he made the playoffs. So that's something, you know what I mean? And the closest he ever got was in 2009, but sorry. So I have to say sorry. But yeah, one hell of a career. I hope that whatever he does next, he's still with basketball. But the podcast thing, I could definitely see him doing. And for some reason, I wonder why, he might be back at Duke. You never know. So yeah, respect to JJ. One hell of a career. Should have gave it one more season though, and then called it quits. But to each their own. So.
Do you think he makes the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, my bad. I would say so. I would say so. There's other players that have made it who haven't accomplished as much as he did. I can't think of any on the top of my head, but just going back with draft classes or with Hall of Fame classes from previous years, like obviously, they've been stacked, but there's plenty of Hall of Famers that got into the Hall of Fame that did not accomplish as much as JJ did. And I know he's one of those players without a ring, but I mean, just from his college, accolades alone, like I feel like he's a Hall of Famer. And so with what he did in the NBA and everything that he accomplished with his shooting, I definitely think he deserves to be in there.
I love you, bro, but I don't think he makes it.
I
Simply just
respect that.
simply because he hasn't won a championship in college or the NBA.
Fair.
And I feel like the dudes who make the Hall of Fame without a championship, they're multiple time all NBA, all star types of players. Like JJ is a damn good shooter, damn good role player. He's been solid throughout his career. And like you said, he's had shots. He had 09 with the Magic. He had a shot with the Sixers, the Clippers. It just never worked out for him for whatever reason. And you brought up college. Yeah, he had a damn good college career. Like being the most hated player in any league means something.
Yep.
But I don't think whoever votes for the Hall of Fame will take that into account. But yeah, like I remember watching him in college. Like he was so hated, bro. It's crazy. And
Bro, it was crazy. Yeah.
yeah, but you can't do anything but respect his game. Like you hated him because he would mess your team up, embarrass your team.
Light him up.
Yeah. So props to him on a career. Congrats on the retirement. But sadly, I don't think he makes the Hall of Fame.
I think for me, he makes it due to his like college accolades. I think a lot of people forget that it's a basketball Hall of Fame. Like obviously, the one player I remember, I remember I was watching a documentary and Oscar Schmidt popped up. Had no idea who he was, but he never stepped on a NBA court. He's still one of the best players to ever play basketball. Makes it in the Hall of Fame, and obviously that's much different because he averaged like 43 points in Olympic matches, but that's kind of a lot. But JJ was that guy, and dude, I mean, he scored like 26 in his senior year, so he was insane, and especially at his size with his shooting, he was really good. And I think there's something to be said about someone that's sought after in the NBA like that for so many years, always making the playoffs. And to have that streak broken by the Pelicans is tough. We'll get to the Pelicans, but that's tough, especially like after going to the bubble and then for them to not try like the entire time, sitting Zion and everything like that. That's got to be tough. So I'm sure that's where it took a toll on him, and that's where he was like, "Yeah, I'm out," because that's got to be a slap in the face to him. But he's played with some insane players. Dwight Howard in his prime, Lob City Clippers, Blake, DeAndre, and Chris Paul. Joel Embiid, I guess Ben Simmons when he was good, and even Monte Ellis and Brandon Jennings on the Bucks. They made it to the playoffs. That's pretty impressive. But to me, he's a Hall of Famer because there's guys like Shonis Marshallonis, who was a perennial Sixth Man of the Year candidate. He made it in. JJ, even though he didn't have the accolades to back it up, I think his play on the court, to me, makes him Hall of Famer.
Well, the Raptors super fan made it to the I think he makes it once they ran out of good players to actually that's deserving to make it. Because I feel like sometimes like Hall of Fame committee is just like, oh, Ben Wallace. Oh yeah, he was great. There we go. You know what I mean? And then like every year,
that's what a shot.
Really good.
No. He's really good, but it's just like you're thinking of players that haven't made it yet. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like for example, like another year could be like is Rip Hamilton in the NBA? A Hall of Fame. I don't think so.
I don't think
right.
Yet.
So
I think Ben's the first from that team to make it. Yeah,
from that team, right? Yeah. So for another year, it could be like Rip Hamilton or Tayshaun, right? All great players, did things really well for one another. But it's just like the committee's just thinking about all the great players. I feel like they got tiers, right? And then like JJ is like somewhere like there, and then when it's his time, like he'll get the call, But like for example, like Kobe's like class, Kobe, Timmy, KG, like that's an insane class, So sooner down the line, they're gonna run out of great, amazing players, and they're gonna go to good players, and they're gonna go to, that's what I feel like it is. But yeah, no disrespect, Ben. Don't kill me now. But yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll get in eventually. I don't even think Tim Hardaway Sr. he hasn't made it yet. But I think there's something else behind that. Because I know he had some controversial comments that a lot of people were very angry with. So I'm assuming that's why he's not in, because the other two are in. Even Shonis is in. So that's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean. I think JJ makes it further down the line. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because there's a lot of competent first ballot Hall of Famers, but maybe third, fourth time. I don't even know how it works in the NBA. I'm sure eventually he'll get in. But going on to the Pelicans, so David Griffin was apparently invited to Zion's room or something, and Griffin would go on and play the piano for Zion. And even though Zion denied this during media day, he said, "I'm not letting no grown man come into my hotel room and play a piano." I wouldn't even admit that, even if it was true. So sounds kind of weird to me. But David Griffin is a weird guy, and it seems like many people within the Pelicans organization don't like him. And I could see why after his comments about LeBron after he left the first time, and then the second time saying he was happier losing without LeBron. So I don't know. I think for David Griffin, he's just kind of overstayed his welcome. He hasn't done what he said he was going to. He said he was going to build a new culture and like build a new team. Then Anthony Davis left, and then you get all these good pieces, and now Lonzo's the first to leave. You get him for nothing, or you lose him for nothing. Brandon Ingram apparently wants to leave. Josh Hart, you got back, but he was noted, or he was saying that he wanted to leave, but then they handed him some money and he stayed. But this is a very important season for the Pelicans. They need to somehow convince Zion to stay. For a guy that has kind of said that he doesn't want to be there, it's very interesting to see how they handled this offseason by only getting Devontae Graham, Thomas Satoransky, and Jonas Valanciunas. So we'll see what goes on. But what do you guys think about David Griffin and how he's handled his tenure with the Pelicans?
He's pretty overrated. LeBron has gotten a lot of guys like job opportunities and paid when they probably shouldn't have been, like JR, Tristan, and David Griffin's one of those dudes. He was a senior vice president of basketball operations in Phoenix, and then he took that same position with the Cavs in 2010 until he took over as GM in 2014. He's not the reason that LeBron came home. LeBron came home because LeBron wanted to come home. And then players followed suit because of LeBron. I will admit he did get a raw deal when he went to New Orleans because AD was going to leave no matter what. But he was very petty about it. And if you're in that kind of position, you can't be, at least publicly, petty like that. If anything, he would be better served on more of a contender, more of a veteran team. But in terms of, I wouldn't even call it a rebuild because they have good talent. But in terms of younger teams, younger players, I don't think he's the right guy. Again, you have to prioritize Zion and or Brandon if you can. If it's just one of those dudes, then it has to be Zion. But we've seen it across all sports. You can't prioritize like coaches or front office people over the players, especially star players. Look at Tom Brady right now. So, I mean, I'm not mad at it though, because again, the Pelicans were very petty during the AD saga. And I'm still I'm very still salty about Chris Paul's veto, even though it wasn't mainly on them, but I don't care. Serves them right.
Oh man. The dude is weird for that, bro. Whether or not it's true, that's weird. But if it is true, at the same time, as weird as it sounds, I can't blame him. If Zion wants you to play the piano, you play the piano, bro. You know, that's your star player, man. If he wants like some shoes at like 3 a.m., you do it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's weird, but I understand if David Griffin had to do that. But overall, it's weird. I don't know how true it is. But like Myles said, like he's just not good as the GM. It's just the name for me. He's overrated, and we've seen him fumble two superstars already, one generational talent. maybe even with two generational talents with AD. And like Myles said, like if you have to prioritize one or the other between Zion and BI, you prioritize Zion, even though BI is still fairly young and is an elite player. You're gonna have to do what it takes to keep him. But the organization might have to take a page out of the Timberwolves book and get rid of him because he's not doing so hot as their GM. Like you said, Spence, their offseason was what it was. Like, it just wasn't good, bro. How are you going to get those players to surround Zion with a playoff contention group? They had a better chance last season. And, like you said, Zoe was the first to leave. And, these guys, whoever's left, Zion, BI, they're not far ahead. BI more likely. And, I know they kept Josh Hart, but if they don't play their cards right, and if he doesn't shape up, Zion will be the third superstar to be fumbled out from his grasp. And I want Zion to get traded. I don't want him on the Pelicans. I want him in NY with RJ. You know what I mean? So, I am hoping that he continues to suck at his job so Zion can be out and BI could be free. But I just feel bad because Zion, this is what Zion's third year. And you don't want these seasons to be a waste, right? You don't want him to have to deal with all this drama. He just wants to hoop. And with a GM like that, it's hard to do so. So he needs to either, not Zion, but the GM just needs to step up, bro, because another fumbled superstar, that's not a good look.
Yeah, and I think especially with how they're not quite contenders, even playoff contenders, but they're not bottom feeders. So in that awkward stage where they're in the middle, but you can't pull any good or quality players because you're a small market team and you don't have a good track record with your management and everything else. So it's a really tough time for the Pelicans, and adding on David Griffin's just weird. And with his track record, I'm not sure what you're going to do. So we'll see what happens with them. We're going to keep an eye on the Zion situation because it seems like he's kind of like getting close to requesting that trade, which I want to happen so he can come to the Warriors, but we'll see.
Okay. Zion and Cat. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so would you guys do like Wiggins for Cat and then like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone I don't like. I like Gary Payton, but Gary Payton for Zion. Like, his dad's pretty good.
Do you guys still have Steph's brother-in-law?
Oh
yeah.
I know his name, but
yeah.
I was just throwing some shade. But yeah.
No, I've seen some cool trades between the Sixers and the Warriors, and I guess they would get Seth out of the deal. I'm down. If it means we get Seth, that means we have 3 technically Curry brothers.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bro, a lineup of Steph, Clay, and then Seth. That's nasty for shooting, at least.
I mean, they had it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot. Fresh out of college.
But no, honestly, like all jokes aside, though, like I don't want to see Zion anymore in a Pelicans uniform. I don't want to see him in a Pelicans uniform in 2019, bro. Yeah. As soon as the number 1 pick was announced, I was like, man, what the heck? The Pelicans, bro?
Yeah. I'm sure that's what Cade thought too, though.
Yeah.
With the Pistons. So
yeah. But I mean, at least he was hyped to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all, folks.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, we'll see. Man. But that's going to do it for the 60th podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for coming back out, CJ and Myles.
Always, brother. Thank you.
Check out our links down in the description. Please like, comment, and subscribe. But that's going to do it for us. So catch you guys in the next one. Peace.